Hello, good evening. Welcome. My name is Kwabena. I want to share with you what I call dealing with the pressure or the financial pressure in marriage. Dealing with financial pressure in marriage. A friend of mine told me that, or said as a joke, that if you see any man and woman or a husband and wife fighting, it's likely to be money problem. So when they are shouting at the top of their voice, it's likely to be a money problem. And marriage, like business, has a lot of pressure in them. People deal with a lot of difficult situations every day, and many of the situations that we deal with, a lot of them have had to do with the pressures that come from the finances, the money, or if not directly, a lot of them are related to the finances, the money issues. And so I want to share with you dealing with financial pressure in marriage. I think that most people's dream in this life is to, marry. Most people feel relevant when they marry, and a lot of people, their goal and their dream is to have a wife, have a woman, give birth to children, and raise a family. And so usually they ask us questions. They tell us, you are 18 years, you are 20 years, and they say that, when are you going to marry? And a lot of us probably didn't even know what it meant, and it carries some level of prestige, that I am 20 years, I'm 30 years, I have married. And so we all place some kind of a face to the public. It creates some kind of facade for everybody to see, for your friends to see, for the church people to see, for society to see that everything is under control. Now, when they are pushing people to go to marry, what they seriously, from my point of view, what they seriously underplay or underestimate is the importance that the finances will play on the marriage and sometimes its survival. On the marriage and its survival. It's like going into business and thinking of not having money will have no problem with the business at all. Not having revenue, or having constant cash flow issues will have nothing to do with the business. It's an anomaly. It's a wrong assumption for people to be told to marry and not consider the importance that finances plays in marriage and in family. And the pressure, sometimes the pressure comes from the lack of it, the sustained lack of it, the continuous lack of the finances, or you are not able to meet the expenditure of the family. The pressure that comes to the family, to the marriage, and sometimes to the very survivor of the marriage is so much enormous. And so let's see what we can share on this. And so they continue to encourage people to marry without the right financial backbone, the financial knowledge, the financial skill. And that is why couples, most people in this world, will go through constant financial difficulties throughout the span of their marriage, or sometimes throughout their whole lives. Because we encourage people that once you have finished school, once you have a job, the next one is to marry. And so you want to have some ring on a woman, you want some man's name to be on you, so they told us that once you finish school you should marry, and a lot of people believe in that. What they are saying, they did not tell us what it will take for you to go through the marriage successfully, and for you to go through the marriage happily. Some even say that, it doesn't matter whether you have money or you don't have money, you just marry. In a society that a lot of importance is placed on marriage, such that when, no matter how much success that some people have had in their lives, people will still continue to ask them, when are you going to marry? And so the people who don't have any successes in terms of finance feel that they equalize the successes that some people have achieved just by marrying. Just by marrying, they think that just by marrying they have. No, I think that if you marry without some level of financial success or some financial preparedness, whether it's in knowledge or in the physical money, you have put yourself in a very bad situation. Now, before our parents, and our grandparents, the women that they marry and the men that they married, the society was that much supportive, and a man could easily marry 2, 3, 4 wives and nobody will say anything that much. Now, if you finish college and you marry another woman who has finished college, they are not going to allow you to marry second, most likely. And even if you have a girlfriend, that will be too tough to deal with, So you are marrying one woman and you cannot treat her as your grandfather treated his wife or her wife or his wife or his wives. You are likely to stay with one woman who is educated, who is working, and who wants to see some kind of improvement in his life. Now, you're also married to a man who is also being boxed to stay with one wife, even though his knowledge has not been improved that much to dealing with the pressure that comes with staying with one wife and everything that has to do with it. So we develop a culture that gives priority and importance to marriage so much, and we undervalue the financial implications, the importance of survival of the marriage. So we trivialize it. We trivialize the financial importance to the marriage, the finance. Some even say that it does not matter once you have love and once you can marry, God will take care of you. Or when we are all marrying, we didn't have anything, but one way the other survive. And your parents sometimes will even tell you that it doesn't matter, because when they were marrying, they were married in the village, and they didn't have anything, but God has taken care of them. And so they encourage us that God will take care of our finances without giving us any tool. And so the best financial strategy that they give us is that God will take care of us. And so, and most people, or most institutions in this country, or maybe in the world, believe that once you have a job and you have some finances coming in, then you are qualified to marry. Financially related problems cause more divorces than any other. Financially related problems cause more separation, more difficulties, more pressure on marriages than any other situation. Why? Because you need finances to take care of the home. If you marry and you have very little finances, and let's say the woman is pregnant and you're going to the hospital and they have to, maybe there's a complication somewhere and they have to take care of situations, you took off money. If you're not prepared for it, that itself will create so much pressure on you, not because you're a bad man, not because the woman is bad, but because this is life. The rent, if your rent is due and the difficulties, the money is not there, let's face it, there will be problem. There will be pressure. Temperature will go high in the home. When there is no food, there will be trouble. When the children's school fees are due and you can't pay, there's trouble. Sometimes you may have to take the children from that school to another school. If you don't have a car, there's trouble. Depending on the level. Even I think no matter the stage or the level that you think you have, whether you are poor or you think you are in the middle or you think you are rich, there's all kind of problems that come as a result of the finances, And so maybe this woman is always in trouble. She's not happy because why? Did I expect to marry this guy and after 10 years, this is the level that I see in my life? A lot of complaints will come. Why? And maybe you are even thinking that maybe I'm poor because I married this woman, and all those kind of things come up. The clothes that people wear, sometimes even the jobs that people have to take will create pressure for the family. Some of our parents would have to just go and live outside the country Maybe the woman would have to move, or the man would have to live separate from his children and the wife, just because they were going to find a way to take care of the family. So they travel to another country to work. Do you know the implications that those bring? If they had enough finances, maybe the man would have said that I'm not going anywhere, I want to be with my family. So there's a lot of decisions and a lot of choices that are made because of finances, and every one of them, would have direct implications on the survival of the marriage, and even the pressure that those decisions take on the marriage. So temperatures are hinged on the financial freedom that families have. If there is constant lack of funds in the family, if all of us would have to work every day, we come home very late, the children are sleeping, early in the morning we take them to school, we don't see them because we have to go to work early in the morning, the wife would have to go to work early in the morning, come home around 10 o'clock constantly. The reason most of us would do that, the reason most of us will go through that kind of lifestyle, is because we are looking to take care of the car, to take care of the house, to pay the school fees, and things like that. A lot of our decisions are made because of finances. And if you look at marriages go through a lot of stress because there's constant disagreement on who is making which decisions on what, because we have to deal with a lot, maybe very little finance, and things like that. Somebody's argument will be, oh, but we have some people who also have a lot of money, but who also have trouble. Maybe. But I would want to have a trouble with a lot of money than with lack of it. I would want to have trouble of knowing that this money, I don't even know how to use it, than to see myself working odd hours because I have to get salary to take care of my family, whether I like it or I don't like it. Because I'm a man, yes, I have to take care, I have to do whatever I have to do to make sure that I can pay school fees, I can get a better place. Maybe the landlord is insulting me, I cannot change the place. Why? Because I don't have much to maybe go and rent a better place. Maybe I have 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom, my children are 4 or 5, we live in a very limited space. Why am I not moving to go and buy a house, or why am I not moving to rent another space? Why? Because of the pressure, the finances. And do you know how much difficulties, how much pain the woman will go through because when they see this, or how much worry that the man would have to go through because they see constant difficulties with the lack of the funds. Now, those who even have it, we will get there. So couples take jobs that eat all their time and energy and their resources because they just have to work to survive. And constantly, when people go through this kind of, they are called anomalies, they are constant pressure. When they go through this for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, they start to get tired. People start to get tired with no hope that the financial situation is going to improve. And sometimes couples, our parents have had to deal with constant financial problems all their lives. And some of them were just had to be magicians, or just had to put up with a lot of pain to let the marriage survive. Not because they were happy, but because they were afraid to just divorce. Now, this generation, a lot of them will not put up with a lot of stress. Why? Because the women are more educated now. They don't want to take a lot of pressure, and they are more enlightened. They ask a lot of questions. So the men, you have to up the game. It's tough, but that's the reality. So don't underestimate the pressure of the finances and what it has in the marriage. So couples take up jobs just like that because they have to take it, and the difficulties that come with it. So it is not that one person should own the money that the couple makes. I think that even those who have money in the family, the fact that I'm married to you and we have money, the woman would want to also feel relevant in bringing money or being part of the money. She would want to have decision on the money that comes in. Or the man, if the woman is bringing in the money, the man would want to also have some kind of importance attached to how the money comes in. And when one makes the money and one takes the ownership of the money, and the other one feels like I'm making no contribution, even though there could be money. Now, there could be a situation where there's money. There's not the lack. There is money, but it appears only one person is bringing all the money, and that person takes ownership of that. That even creates another pressure. on the other one who will feel like I'm not making any contribution. Why? Because of how it is handled in the family. So it's not just those who have the lack of it, but some of them who also have it must also have proper understanding of, must be very close in agreeing on a lot of things in terms of philosophy on how they handle or how they understand money. Because the fact that I bring it and you're my partner or you're my wife means that if I bring it, it's for us. Now, some people still carry that thinking that if I bring it, it's for me and I'm taking care of you. So at a point, you see that maybe, in the situations where they say that somebody is a housewife, it means that the other one is bringing the money and she is taking care of the home. I think that if I'm taking care of the home and you are bringing the money, it's our money. It's not your money. Even if the fact that we discuss things about money and you go and you make a lot of it is contribution. The choices that you're making are bringing in the money. And so when somebody else who is going out creates the money, comes home, and the other person feels like I'm not making any contribution, there will be constant pain, constant disagreement on the money. And people just break marriages because of these things. And these are things that some people will just want to trivialize to say that, oh, it doesn't matter once we love ourselves. It has nothing to do with love, because if there is love, there should be freedom, there should be abundance as well. And so everyone wants to have some kind of contribution in terms of the money that comes to the family. There is always pressure somewhere, whether there's money or there's not money. How you manage that will decide the breaking or the survival or the growth of the marriage. But you have to agree on the philosophy that both of you are going to use to handle money. What is it that you think about money? How is it going to be made? Who makes which decision? Because the fact that you even have enough does not mean that everybody is happy or each of you is happy with how decisions are being made on it. So there has to be constant discussion, constant agreement, or constant, talking about how the money is handled in the family. Because if it's not handled well, there will be serious problems. Not because you don't have it, but sometimes they have enough, but there's still something about money that is so emotional to people. And so the money itself, once it's coming, whether it's lack of it or it's not lack of it, is creating pressure. So financial pressure does not only mean that there's lack of it. No, sometimes there is not that there is lack of it, but there is some of it, and still there will be disagreement until a lot of things have been able to talked about and agree between the two. Finance, money has a lot to play with the survival of the marriage. So don't trivialize it. When you were married, they just told you that once you can respect your husband and your husband can love you, everything will be taken care of. Once you are submissive, some of the men, they use those terms, a submissive wife and things like that. I would not want to even focus on those. If the money is talked well, is talked about, a lot of things are handled by just the way the money is handled. If you take care of the money well, a lot of things will fall in place. If you disagree a lot on the money, not just the lack of it, but sometimes it is there, but we still disagree because somebody is using it differently and the other one will agree. So you can manage the pressure by having a strategy to have enough funds, to have some savings and to have some investment. So each of you may be working, or one who is working, but the money that comes to the family is for the family. It's for the family, and how it's handled is going to determine the temperature in the home. And so when the women are saying that I want to marry, make sure that you look at the finances well. And some of the pressure, I think, that can be handled at the place just about the time that they marry and who you even choose to marry. What is their philosophy of money? What is their philosophy? How do they understand money? Because 90% of the time you are going to be talking directly of money or indirectly of money. A lot of your choices and decisions are going to, because why? The marriage is an institution that receives money and spends money. So who are you picking? How does he understand money? How does he make money? How does he even spend the money? So If you don't talk about those things, and they just want you to believe that you're just a woman sit somewhere, and now gentlemen, listen, the women, they will not sit somewhere. They want to control money, and they want to really control their money. And so when if she was growing up and there was lack in the family, she's coming into this new home with that kind of background. She would want to have more to feel secure. If there was abundance, if the father had a lot of money and you have no money, she's coming up, to the family thinking that you should be, there should not be any lack in the family. There should not be any lack in the family. So that's the philosophy. And maybe you're also coming up with you're coming to the same marriage with different kind of thinking. Where do you agree? What do you work on? Where do you disagree? What do you work on? Where's the pattern? What's the strategy to have money? What's the strategy to get into the freedom? What is the strategy? Where do you agree? Because until those things are worked out, there will be constant pressure in the marriage. And when children are added, that's another level. That's another level. So they continue to encourage us to marry. They continue to encourage us to marry and say, where are you going to marry? It's just for the show. It's one day show. The wedding and everything. Some people even create mess right from the day one. The way they spent can hang on their neck for the next 10 years. Some of them will go to borrow money to go and do the wedding, to impress people. And that will create pressure in the marriage. Some of them, every naming ceremony, they want to throw a party, and they don't have much. Every birthday, they want to pray, they want to throw a party. Every little opportunity, they want to have ceremony. And so their sense of money is to spend it. And for them, once they spend money, it means that they are rich. Now, this is somebody's philosophy. Another person's philosophy will be, if I'm able to save and invest, it means that I am making progress. Now, if my philosophy is to just make the money and spend so that my friends will know that I've arrived. So I want to buy a big house. I want to build a big house. I want to build a big house, a big car. I want to send my children to the top schools in Accra or in Kumasi, anywhere. Some people don't have what it takes, but they say that, oh, you have to spend much on the education of your children. You don't have much. And yet you are spending these two children that you have to schools that are paying dollars. And yet maybe the other person may say, oh, it's not important. Let's send them to average school that we can be involved in their lives. Now, these things, if you don't agree on them, because they are money related, maybe if you had a lot of money, that school fees will not create any problem at all. But if there is a limited money in the family, then this just sending your children to a particular school can bring so much disagreement into the family, and sometimes at the threat of breaking the marriage. And so a lot of angles come in when it has to do with money. When it has to do with money in the marriage, there's a lot of angles that come to play. And so people just think that they can just marry without studying the money. If you marry without studying the money, you have created problem for yourself. And sometimes the problem will be on your neck forever, because there's constant decision with regard to the money. Even the job, the traveling, the country that you had to move. Some people are married in some country and they want to relocate to another country. But one has a good job that they will not, she or he may not want to just give up on that job. Now you have a family, you're torn between your job. But if both of you move, the other one may lose the job. Which one is more priority? Can you imagine how much pressure that decision will have on the family? But if the family had enough, they could just say that, let's go. We have enough money saved. Yet when they were married, nobody told them that the money and the lack of it will create a lot of pressure on the survivor or the happiness or the temperature of the family and in the marriage. And so when they are placing a lot of priority on just that you have finished school, you have a job, marry, I would want to add that you have finished school, understand the importance of the money that the marriage that you are trying to enter into will play before you even start to marry. Or then you are prepared for the next 10-20 years. You are constantly going to go through a lot of pressure with the woman, with the man that you have married, in terms of money. And a lot of things will hang on it. A lot of things will hang on it. You have a job, you marry, and the next month they fire you. What do you do? Some people will say, some of them, they will just ask that, do you have a place to work? Yes. Do you have a place to work? Yes, then we can marry you. But how about when you marry and they fire you? So, yes, having a place to work is a good indication, but really doesn't solve the problem. What solves the problem is, do you have enough money to take care of the family for at least 2 months, 3 months, or 1 year? That when none of you is working, can the family survive? Can you keep your peace? And so you cannot just trivialize it, because sometimes you just have to, you can see some of us, when we didn't have enough information, enough knowledge, the woman is pregnant and she's still working. Why? Because if she stops working, there will not be enough to take care of the home. Because what the husband is making is not also enough. It's also not enough. Do you know how much implications that these things can have on the head of the woman, or even on the head of the man as well? And so when you are going into marriage, don't trivialize the finances. Should that mean that people don't marry? No, I can't say that. But I can only say that don't trivialize the pressure that the finances will have on you and your marriage and your woman and your man. And if it is not enough, then you should be ready to take the pressure constantly and to have a strategy to avert the situation. Because some of our parents went through financial difficulties for 40 years that they were married, 50 years that they were married, 70 years that they were married. There is always constant pressure on them. Constant. And it's not, some people, when they ask them, oh, how long have you married? Oh, we have married for 30 years, 40 years. Those things, yes, they're good, but they don't impress me. I want to see how much happiness, how much peace, how much freedom that you enjoyed married. How much did you accomplish together? Than just we have married for 20 years. You have married for 20 years and you've been broke all your life. Nobody wants to hear that. You want to have choices and freedom. Choices and freedom. So for me, I think that if you want to handle the financial pressure that the marriage will bring, because the marriage will bring financial pressure. When you are alone, when you are alone, you have that yourself. And then when you pick another person and you have come together, the pressure doubles. And if you happen to have some children, another thing. So constantly, if for the next 20 years, 30 years, you could be under constant strain of money. Strain that is coming from money or the lack of it. And so don't just trivialize it. And if you are in the situation already, of course, you know that everything is revolving around the money and the lack of it or enough of it. And so your choices are directly linked to that. You want to build a house, you are managing because there's not much coming in. You want to go to school, you're managing. You want to send your children to other place, you're managing. You're thinking constantly. You want to change that car, you're thinking. You want to, whatever that you're doing, it revolves around the money. Why? Because money plays a huge role in this life, and it plays double role for the survivor of the marriage, because the woman is always talking and murmuring and fighting and disagreeing with you because there's not much money in the family. Let's face it, most women are fighting, most men are angry because there's lack of funds. They don't know what to do to survive the future of the family. They don't know what to do to bring in enough so that they can take care of their children. Sometimes you want to be with your children, but if you don't go to work, how do you take care of the children? So we cannot trivialize the pressure that finances bring to the marriage and to the family. You can't. We cannot. But there is always something that you can do about the situation if you're not in it already. If you're in it already, then you just have to sit down and say that, listen, we have to have a strategy to at least have some funds, so that the pressure, the constant disagreement, the constant fighting, the constant anger, the constant bitterness, the constant coldness, almost all of them are linked to the finances. Let's face it. When there's especially when there's a situation of a loan, that doubles it. because whatever comes in goes to pay debt. That's crazy. That's pressure. And when there is no situation of loans, and even when that which comes in is not enough, because all of us would want to grow, all of us would want to do something better, all of us would want to build houses, all of us would want to own better cars, live in the places that we want. We want to work. We want to go to work knowing that we like this work and we want to be there. Not just we just have to work so that we can pay bills at home. Let's face it, that's not what we want. We want some kind of freedom, and that is innate in every one of us. So maybe you made the mistake, maybe you have not taken cognizance of the importance of the finances, or maybe you know but you don't know what to do. If you're yet to marry, you cannot trivialize it. And don't let anybody else push you into marriage because you are 30 years or 40 years. Because a lot of marriages are breaking. And those who are even hanging there, they are not sure if they will continue to hang in there, because a lot of the problems, when a man does not have a job, it's not just not having the job that is the problem. It's the lack of the funds. If I have 2 million in my account and I don't have a job, it will not be any problem. Let's face it. At least I'll be able to pay the rent, I'll be able to take care of the electricity, I'll be able to pay the school fees, I'll be able to take them to wherever I want to take them. But when you lose the job and lose your peace, you lose your comfort, you lose your passion for life, it's because you feel not relevant. Because you can't see your children come home, the child is sick, and you don't have what it takes to go and buy medicine for the child. You can see your wife going to work sweating and she's not happy going to work, but she just has to go to work because there's not much funds at home. You know what it does to the woman. And so when we were growing up, if they told us that, listen, you are the man, take care of the home and do whatever you have to do to make sure that there is enough funds, and we grew up with that thinking and we had a strategy, maybe by the time that we married, we would have had enough funds to decide whether you have to take care, your wife would have to take care of the children or go to get a job, or you yourself would have to get a job or not get a job, because you would probably have enough funds. But a lot of us, they just told us that when both of you are working, you'll be fine. The fact is that when both of you are working, you will not be fine. You'll not be fine. You'll only be fine when there is enough finances. And when you have same kind of understanding of money, and when you have a good structure between you for the family. And so one of my maybe my submission would be that have a strategy as a family. Have a financial strategy for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and have a strategy to have some savings and to learn how to invest that. Have a strategy to at least start a business, a side business. Whether it's the man, whether it's the woman, or do something that can add more revenue to what you are getting now. Whether you are going to do some network marketing or some sales or trade something, so that you can increase the revenue that comes to the family. And you just have to do that, because you cannot just say, I'm dependent on one revenue, she's dependent on revenue. How are you going to pay the school fees? There will be constant pain. And the fact is that don't wait for a miracle to change your finances. Don't work. If it happens, praise the Lord, but don't work, because miracle is not a financial strategy. Waiting for a miracle to change your financial situation, it is not financial strategy. It's one of the dumbest for you to pray that your financial situation will change. You just have to have a plan. And financial situations change when the financial revenues, when the money that is coming in is more than what we are spending. And so if you're the man in the house, if you're the woman who is taking care of your family, just have a strategy. It is tough. We cannot trivialize it. A lot of lives are being destroyed. A lot of families are being destroyed because they did not tell us the pressure that can come from finances in the marriage or in the family. In the marriage or in the family. So don't trivialize it. Don't just dance when they say that you have become Mr. and Mrs. You have gotten yourself into a very big situation. So don't just, when you are smiling. After 1 year, it will not be smiling. It will be work. And if you don't have enough finances, sometimes they will move you from where you are, where your family is living, and they tell you that go to another region to go and work. And you know that you cannot move your children there. You cannot move your wife, or your husband will not be able to move with you. Can you know the pain of going to live a lonely life for the next whoever years? And sometimes you can have the choice to say that I'm not going. Why? Because you can work or you can survive. The family can live on without that salary that is coming from that job. But if you need that salary for the family to survive, there will be a lot of pressure. Because now you have to choose between the comfort of your family, being with your family with limited or no funds, or going to take that job so that you can send money to the house. And usually most of us would go for the job, we go for the revenue, we go for the money that will take care of the family. Why? Because we have no freedom in terms of the finances. We have not worked towards that. And financial situations, financial pressures in marriage don't just change. They don't just change. They don't just move away. They can persist forever until you start to work to change it. Until you start to work to improve it. Until you start to work to change the situation. And major part of it is starting to change your financial knowledge, investing in financial understanding, financial skills, studying it. Because that which made us to make that decision was because the fact that we had financial difficulties, financial pressure, which is coming from the lack of money or the lack of the funds in the family, is because we are operating at a very low financial knowledge, financial skill, financial understanding. So we thought that once we get a job, our financial situation will go away. And once we get some kind of pay, we'll be fine. Then when you receive that salary that you were impressed with, after 2 months, you saw that no, you still 2 weeks down the line after they have paid you, you have nothing. And you can live like that for whichever years, nobody knows, until you decide, both family, you and the woman, you and the man, you decide to say that let's have a plan to change the situation. Because every time there is something that you want to do as a family, you want to build a house, you would want to buy a car, you would want to send your child to or your children to different schools, you want to relocate to another city, another town, you would want to change your clothes, you would want to give something towards some organization that you're part of, and a lot of it is going to come from the same revenue that you have. So if the revenue is not enough, you can see that you are always not happy with your financial situation, and they have very little to do with the salary that you are receiving. Very few people in this world, when they are on salaries without any deliberate financial plan to live into the excesses, will just be happy of the salary that they are receiving and the life that they want to live. Very few people can do that. Very few people, because no matter how much they pay you, if you don't have good financial plan, good financial strategy as a family, as a couple, it will never be enough. Because if they pay you 20,000 a month, you would want to move from you living at Awoshi to go and live at East Legon. Which means that yes, they have paid you enough, but you have changed. So which means your finances have increased, but your expenditure has also gone up. Now you want to live like people who are rich, because there was no strategy. And that means that the finances came in, but because there was no plan, you are going to live in that constant pressure that comes from the finances. Constant pressure that comes from finances. So most people who are married, there is always constant pressure. And the sad part of it is that it's not only you and your wife or only you and your husband. Sometimes there are families involved. Sometimes your mother, your father, sometimes your siblings, sometimes your cousins, sometimes the entire society. They are all looking up to you. And so you cannot just trivialize the finances. So if you don't have a strategy, if you don't have a plan to deal with the situation, you will forever live in constant financial pressure, and they have huge effect on the marriage. And sometimes, or almost all the time, at a point, the marriage will break because the pressure cannot continue like that. So, my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about dealing with financial pressure in a marriage. You cannot realize the pressure that comes from finances on any marriage or in any marriage. And so they continue to encourage us to get married without looking at our financial expertise, our financial skill, our financial knowledge, and the difficulties that the finances will pose on the union. And so most people enter marriage with zero financial understanding, except working to get paid and praying to God to help them every day. and that is not a financial strategy. And that's why there's constant financial pressure. And so when you lose your job, you have to call your friend, you have to call your family, you have to call everybody to help you. You have to have a good financial strategy, or the marriage will break. The marriage will break. And so develop a culture that gives priority to the importance of the finances on the marriage. Develop a strategy, develop a culture with the woman, with the man that you have married in a family. Develop a culture, develop a strategy that, okay, we are going to give a lot of importance to the finances and how they come in, because you can control the disagreement and the fight and a lot of things if the finances are handled well. I can tell you 90% of the things that happen in marriage, they are related to finance. Somebody said that, oh, it's not the cheating. It's not the cheating. It's not the cheating. It's not the cheating. Very few, because when the men are even cheating, you'll never even hear of it. So it's not just the cheating, it's the lack of the funds. The funds are not enough, so there is always disagreement. You're always asking each other, oh, can you give me this money? And it turns into fight. Can you help me to pay this? It turns into fight. You have come to say that, when can we pay this money? And it turns into disagreement, and you fight, and people become cold and things like that, because the money is not enough. Because the money is not enough. And so work on the money. Don't trivialize it. If you're going to have finance peace in the marriage, one of the major things will be to handle the finances. And don't forget that the cost of living is very high. So it means that we have to have a strategy to get more than what is coming in. And so develop that culture to give priority, importance to the finances that the family is running. A lot of families who trivialize the finances, who don't sit down to discuss the finances, who don't plan, will always be fighting, and they will be blaming somebody else for all the disagreements in their family. It's not this disagreement are coming from the finances. Look at it well. You will see that is the finances. Because you pick money from the woman you didn't pay, she's always on you. You took that money you didn't pay, I was going to use that money to say this, or you pick the man gave you this money and you are disagreeing. No, it's a marriage. So put the money together and see what you can do with it, and focus, because if you are in it and you put your strength together, you can handle the financial difficulties, even if they did not tell you how much important it will be to the survivor of the marriage. So don't trivialize the role that finances play to the survivor of the marriage. If the finances is bad and it continues to be bad, you don't need any prophet to tell you that you are just about 70-80% to heading to the break of the marriage, because at a point people will not put up with the stress again. They would want to have some significance. They don't want to marry you and all their lives they were poor. Not these new ones, though. Not those who have gone to school. They will not stay with that. They would want to move on and try something else. So so when they are giving you advice that the finances don't mean anything, when you were married you were even poor, people who say that, go and look at their financial situation and look at how they get revenue. It's likely that their financial knowledge is weak, because you can't trivialize it. Until you put your mind to the finances, it won't change. It won't change. And the finances determine the temperature at home. So financial related problems, they say, cause more divorces than any other problem. They are related. They say that the man went to cheat or the woman went to cheat. Why did she go to cheat? This woman is traveling with the boss everywhere. Why? Because she needs that job. She needs that job. If you had enough, she could opt not to go. Or if you had a plan enough, she could be all by herself. They are insulting her at the workplace all the time, shouting at her. She's not happy. Why? Because she can't quit. They are insulting you. They threaten to fire you every day. And you can't quit. You say you're a man, but you can't quit. Why? Because you need that money. If you move, the family will not go to school. The family cannot eat. So you just have to put up with it. Now, there's nothing wrong with putting up with it, but there is something wrong if you continue to put up with it without doing anything about it, without working towards, moving into a situation that when they say that don't come to work, the family can still be intact. The family can still survive. And so work towards that. Don't just trivialize it. Don't just think that the money is nothing. The money will be something. If you trivialize the money, when they threaten to fire you from the job, you see that the money was everything. And so financial related problems, they place a lot of pressure on the marriage. And you need the finances to take care of the home, the rent, the house that you want to build, the food that you eat, the school fees, sometimes even the job that you take. You take them with all the inconveniences because you need the money. Otherwise, you still have to go to work. Not because you love the work, not because you're happy, not because you think you have the talent to do that work, but because without that salary, the family will not eat. And you don't want to handle a family as a man that every day you're worried about what to eat. You're worried about the rent. You're worried about everything. And you don't have to steal. You don't have to lie, to cheat, to steal to solve that situation. Because what most people's financial strategy is also to cheat, to lie, and to steal to avert the situation. No, it's like pouring petrol into fire. It will explode. So your financial strategy should also have some character at the base of it. Don't just, the fact that the family is going through financial difficulties, that don't mean that you have to cheat people, lie, and steal from them so that you will help your family. Now, you are destroying somebody else's business. You are destroying somebody else's organization. You are destroying somebody else's family. And you are going to take that money to take care of your family. And you think that nature should support you. No. If you destroy somebody else's family to take care of yours will be destroyed. And so you would want to have the right way of handling such situations. And part of it is to just have a financial strategy as a family, as a man or as a woman, sit down with the family and plan and see how you can get into the excesses without lying, without cheating, without stealing from people. We know the situation, the financial situations are, not the best. But you cannot continue to steal from people, lie from people, just because your family need to be to survive. That is not right either. That is not right either, because that will not solve the pressure. And you will not even grow in terms of financial education, financial skill, financial expertise. You compromise your values for nothing. And so couples, the temperature in the home is hinged on the financial freedom. And that is true. That is true. If at the end of the month is due and they're asking for all those bills that you have to pay, and you continue to give assurances and nothing is coming, it's painful. It's painful. And as a man, you feel like, I didn't opt for this. The fact is that it's not going to change until you change it. Haven't you seen people who are 70 years still asking for 10 cedis and 20 cedis and 100 cedis all their lives? And those are people who schooled, they are doctors, they are lawyers, some of them are former politicians and business people, because they had no financial strategy for the family. So don't trivialize it. Don't think that it will just go away. It may not just go away until we work at it. So couples take jobs that take all their time, take all their energy, but they need the salary to survive. And that then creates pressure. So every day you come home, your son is saying that you are not here. Every day you are gone and you're not happy. And you cannot even take one day off because the job takes everything from you. And so it is not that one person should own every money that comes into the family. I said that, but as a family, you must have a strategy to live in the abundance and agree on a lot of things. You are thinking your philosophy on money should agree, or there will be always constant fight. If you don't agree on a lot of things, there will always be disagreement and fight on an unnecessary things. You came together to face life together. You didn't come together to fight. You didn't come together to destroy yourselves. You came so that you could do more. So everyone wants to have some kind of contribution. Don't, especially the African men, don't just lord it over the woman thinking that you're a man. No, you're not a man. You're just a product of your culture, which looks down upon the woman. We all have to deal with it because of the information that they gave us. But there's nothing wrong for a woman to have a financial freedom just as you have, and for her to control the finances. There's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, it brings more peace. It reduces the pressure at home than you trying to control everything. If you control everything, even if you have abundance of it, the fact that the woman is quiet does not mean that she's happy. It doesn't mean like that. There will still be the pressure, there will still be the fighting, there will still be the attention, there will still be the relevance that she wants, So, but you have to agree on the philosophy on the money all the time, or disagreement will be, and there will be constant fight, constant, and which will be threatful to the survival of the marriage. So you can manage the pressure by having a strategy to have enough of the funds, to have an investment plan. And my advice is that every family should try to have a business, have some, get into some sales, trade something, open a shop, do something to add up to the finances, and never give up when you get into difficulties trying to have excess money to take care of the family. Never give up, because usually that is the part. Because you have never done it before. Once you get to try it, sometimes you could lose all the money that you try to do the business. Sometimes you could lose everything. You could create enemies for yourself. Don't give up, and don't talk down upon the other who was trying to do it. Agree and have a formula, because it will benefit both of you. So work towards it and handle the pressure. Work together. If you want to handle the financial pressure in the family, work together. Agree on a lot of things. People operate at the level of knowledge that they have. If you want the finances to be lower than your expertise, you just have to lift the knowledge that you have on the finances. Lift the knowledge, go for knowledge, read books, understand, train yourself, both of you, on the finances. Then you'll be able to deal with the financial pressure, because financial pressure is in every home, whether they have enough or they don't have enough. Because those who even have enough can still be a lot of disagreement on how they use the money that they have. And those who don't have enough at all can also be in constant fight every day. They are always fighting, talking. The woman is always that I am the one bringing in the money. People fight a lot on money for nothing. They are always talking and fighting and talking and fighting. Why? Because they did not sit down to have a strategy. They trivialize the importance of the money. They trivialize it. So if you want to, don't just let them push you into marriage. Have a plan. It eats about 90% of your peace. If you don't have enough, the marriage will mean nothing to you. If you don't have enough funds, the marriage will mean nothing to you. It will be constant pain. You never feel respected. You never feel appreciated. You never feel relevant, because you did not handle the money issues. Okay, and that will create enough pressure every day. And have a plan to live in the freedom of the finances, and that comes from right financial knowledge, and that also comes from taking the right risk. Whether you want to trade, you want to start a business, or the other one is work, and have a plan. It cannot be constant luck every day. If you don't have a plan, and your only plan is to work for salary and to pray to God to bless you, that will not work. There will be constant fight, constant disagreement, and a lot of people regret for marrying whoever they married. I don't think there's any need for regret, because you are the same person. Probably if you show up with another person with the same kind of tendency, you will still have the same fight. So you probably must just look at working this one out, and a part of it, a lot of it anyway, has to do with the volume of knowledge, the quality of knowledge that you are dealing with in terms of the finances, and in terms of how the marriage and its link to financial pressure is handled. So if you truly realize the importance of the money in the family, you are just setting your family up for divorce. You are setting your family up for a lot of trouble. So handle the money. The money should be topmost in the family. Don't listen to anybody to say that it doesn't matter. It matters. It so matters the level of financial knowledge you have, the level of financial knowledge of the man, the level of financial knowledge of the woman, and importance you place on it. Because your child will not go to that university to read that course if you don't have the money. You will not be able to live in that neighborhood, that neighborhood that you want if you don't have the money. You cannot let that job go even though you don't like it, because the money is not enough. So don't trivialize it. And when they are praying for you and they say that God will bless you, if you don't have a plan, the blessing will not come. You have been trying to handle that, but have a financial plan. And there's nothing wrong when both of you can plan to say that one of you should take risk, because the freedom is in business, is investment, is in strategy. Okay, and doing something extra to support the revenue of the family learning to sell something, joining some network marketing company, doing something, to add more revenue. And if one of you is starting business, the other person should give complete support, and don't stay out of it. You never know the situation and how well it will reduce the lack of financial pressure, the lack of funds and its pressure that it creates on the family. And so thank you very much for watching. Thank you. My name is Kwabena. Thank you very much.